When we talk about lowering cholesterol naturally, most people immediately think about cutting out fried foods or avoiding butter. And while that's part of the picture, the real game changer is something so simple and so overlooked that it almost sounds too easy: soluble fiber. Now, I'm not talking about a one-time fix, like having a bowl of oatmeal on Monday and then forgetting about it for the rest of the week. I'm talking about making soluble fiber part of your daily rhythm, the same way you brush your teeth every morning without question. Because here's the truth: soluble fiber is like a gentle sponge moving through your digestive system, quietly binding to cholesterol particles and escorting them right out of your body before they ever have the chance to cause trouble in your arteries. Think about that for a moment. While medications can block production or absorption, fiber works with your body, not against it. It doesn't hammer your liver or disrupt your chemistry. It supports it. Oats, lentils, apples, flax seeds, barley. These aren't exotic, expensive superfoods. They're common, affordable, and available in every grocery store. The problem isn't access, it's habit. We live in a culture where convenience food has replaced real food, where refined white flour and sugar dominate our plates. And that's where the real philosophical challenge comes in. This isn't just a matter of biology, it's a matter of discipline. Every day our bodies give us feedback. Some of it is loud, a sharp pain, a dizzy spell. But some of it is subtle: sluggishness after a meal, bloating, or brain fog. High cholesterol is often one of those silent signals. You can't feel your arteries clogging, but the process is happening quietly in the background. Soluble fiber is one of those rare tools that operates just as quietly, only in the opposite direction. It slows digestion, steadies your blood sugar, nourishes your gut bacteria, and pulls excess LDL out of circulation. It's a silent defender. But a defender only works if it's on the field every single day. The science is fascinating. When you eat soluble fiber, it dissolves in water and forms a gel-like substance in your gut. That gel binds with cholesterol particles and bile acids. Bile acids are made from cholesterol, and the body has no choice but to excrete them. The liver then has to pull more cholesterol from your bloodstream to make new bile acids, effectively lowering your LDL levels. It's such an elegant system, one that nature designed without patents or side effects. But here's the thing: this isn't an overnight miracle. You won't eat an apple today and wake up tomorrow with perfect cholesterol. It's consistency over months, even years, that transforms your numbers and protects your heart. And that's where the psychological shift has to happen. We're wired for quick wins and immediate gratification, but the body doesn't work on our schedule. It works on nature's schedule. You plant seeds, you water them, you wait. You don't pull up the sprout to see if it's growing. Health is the same way. If you can reframe your thinking so that each serving of fiber-rich food isn't just a meal, but a vote for your future health, you begin to build momentum. Now, some people tell me, I just can't eat that much fiber. It's too hard. But let's break that down. If you swap your white bread for whole grain, that's an extra 3 grams right there. Add half a cup of lentils to your lunch, 8 grams more. Snack on an apple instead of chips, 4 grams more. Sprinkle a tablespoon of ground flax seeds into your smoothie, another 2 grams. Suddenly, you're hitting 15 to 20 grams without even noticing. The goal for most adults should be around 25 to 30 grams a day, with at least a third of that being soluble. This isn't about living in the kitchen. It's about small, intelligent swaps that become second nature. There's also something deeply empowering about knowing that what you put in your mouth can literally change the structure of your blood in a matter of weeks. It reminds us that we are not passive victims of our genetics or our environment. Yes, family history plays a role, but lifestyle writes the bigger story. Soluble fiber isn't just a nutrient. It's a daily statement that says, I am participating in my health, not waiting for disease to dictate the outcome. And there's another layer to this: your gut microbiome. Those trillions of bacteria living inside you thrive on soluble fiber. When they digest it, they produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation, support immunity, and even help regulate cholesterol further. You're not just feeding yourself, you're feeding an entire internal ecosystem that in turn protects you. That's a relationship worth nurturing. So, as you think about cholesterol, don't picture an invisible enemy you have no control over. Picture a sponge, gentle, patient, persistent. working for you every single day. You choose to nourish it. Imagine each bowl of oats, each handful of beans, each bite of fruit as another small brushstroke in the masterpiece of your long-term health. Because lowering cholesterol isn't about doing something extreme. It's about doing something consistent. The silent truth is this: your arteries won't thank you with applause. They'll thank you with decades of clear, unbroken flow. And when you're in your 70s, walking without breathlessness, living without fear of the next test result, that's when you'll realize these small, daily choices were never small at all. Start now, keep going, and let the quiet power of soluble fiber write a better future for your heart. If soluble fiber is the gentle sponge that sweeps cholesterol out of your system, then healthy fats are the architects that rebuild your body's chemistry in a way that supports heart health. And this is where so many people get confused, because for decades, the word fat was painted as the villain. We were told to fear it, avoid it, replace it with low fat and fat-free everything. But here's the irony. When we removed healthy fats from our diet, we didn't remove heart disease. In fact, in many cases, we made things worse. Because not all fats behave the same way in the body, and some, like the omega-3s in fatty fish or the monounsaturated fats in olive oil, don't just lower your bad cholesterol. They actually raise your good cholesterol, the HDL that acts like a cleanup crew for your arteries. Think about cholesterol like traffic in your bloodstream. LDL is like delivery trucks dropping off packages, necessary in small amounts, but in excess, they clog the streets. HDL is like the sanitation department. It picks up the debris and keeps the roads clear. Healthy fats are like giving that sanitation department better trucks, better fuel, and better routes so they can work more efficiently. They make your HDL stronger, more active, and more effective at carrying excess cholesterol back to the liver for disposal. This is why I tell people that adding the right fats to your diet is not indulgence, it's strategy. A handful of walnuts, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, half an avocado. These aren't guilty pleasures, they're investments in your heart's future. But here's where the philosophical depth comes in. Choosing healthy fats is also about choosing patience and quality over instant gratification. It's easy to grab processed snacks, fried fast food, or cheap vegetable oils that have been refined to death. They're convenient, they taste intense, they give you that momentary satisfaction. But they also ignite low-grade inflammation, stiffen your arteries, and make your cholesterol harder to control. Healthy fats don't give you that instant rush. They give you quiet, lasting stability. And in a culture addicted to speed, learning to appreciate slow, steady nourishment is an act of rebellion. From a biological standpoint, the magic of these fats lies in how they alter the composition of your blood lipids. Omega-3 fatty acids from salmon, sardines, chia seeds, and flax seeds reduce triglycerides, lower blood pressure, and make LDL particles less likely to stick to artery walls. Monounsaturated fats like those found in olives, almonds, and hazelnuts reduce oxidation, meaning they help prevent LDL from turning into its dangerous, artery-damaging form. And polyunsaturated fats like those in sunflower seeds and soybeans support cell membrane health, making your entire cardiovascular system more resilient. But here's the part that excites me the most. Healthy fats don't just protect your heart, they nourish your brain. And when your brain is well fed, your decision-making improves. You're less likely to fall into the cycle of stress eating, sugar cravings, and processed food dependency that sabotages cholesterol control in the first place. In other words, the food you eat to protect your heart also strengthens the very organ that helps you choose the right food tomorrow. That's the feedback loop of health. Still, I understand the resistance. We live in a low-fat hangover. People see the calories in nuts or avocado and panic. But here's the reality. When your body gets the right fats, it doesn't panic. It doesn't cling to calories like it's preparing for a famine. Instead, it uses them for steady energy, hormone production, and cellular repair. That satiety you feel after eating a handful of almonds is your body saying, "This is enough. I'm satisfied." Compare that to the crash and crave cycle of eating fat, free crackers, or sugary snacks, and you'll start to see the wisdom of giving your body quality fuel. There's also a deeper lesson here about trust. Trusting that nature's foods, those that come from the earth, the tree, or the sea, are better for you than something designed in a factory. Trusting that your body is not your enemy, but your partner. trusting that the long-term rewards of health are worth more than the short-term pleasure of convenience. When you begin to see food not as an enemy or a temptation, but as a collaborator in your life's work, making the right choices stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like empowerment. So here's what I want you to imagine every time you choose olive oil over margarine, every time you reach for salmon instead of fried chicken, every time you snack on walnuts instead of potato chips. You're not just lowering cholesterol, you're sending a signal to your body. You're telling it, I am building, not breaking. I am protecting, not ignoring. I am investing, not spending. And those signals, repeated over weeks and months, become your biology. The truth is, your cholesterol numbers are not just a reflection of your diet, they're a reflection of your daily philosophy. Do you live reactively, responding to cravings and convenience? Or do you live proactively, shaping your future with intentional choices? Healthy fats may be small in volume compared to the rest of your plate, but they are immense in impact. Because in the end, lowering cholesterol naturally isn't about avoiding something. It's about embracing something better. And when you give your heart the building blocks it needs, it responds in kind, not with noise or drama, but with decades of steady, faithful service. That is the quiet victory of choosing healthy fats, one small bite at a time. If we've talked about soluble fiber as the broom and healthy fats as the architect, then plant sterols are the clever negotiators working behind the scenes. They don't just passively support your health, they actively step in to compete with cholesterol for space in your digestive system. And they're good at it. In fact, when you eat foods rich in plant sterols, they block cholesterol from being absorbed into your bloodstream, forcing more of it to leave your body rather than linger and cause trouble. Now, here's the fascinating part. Cholesterol, whether it's made in your liver or coming from the food you eat, uses certain entry points in your gut to get into your bloodstream. Plant sterols, natural compounds found in nuts, seeds, whole grains, and certain vegetables, look enough like cholesterol to slip into those same entry points. The body lets them in, but once they're there, they don't get stored the same way cholesterol does. Instead, they push cholesterol out of the way, quite literally reducing the amount your body can absorb. The result, lower LDL levels, sometimes within weeks. It's such an elegant system when you think about it. Nature created these compounds in plants not for us, but for their own structure and survival. Yet when we eat them, they offer us this side benefit of heart protection. It's as if nature is whispering, if you choose me over the processed stuff, I'll reward you in ways you can't even see. And that's the philosophical beauty of it. When we align our eating habits with what the earth naturally provides, we tap into mechanisms that have been working for millions of years, long before we ever named them. The modern problem, of course, is that most people don't eat enough plant sterols. The average diet, especially in industrialized countries, is dominated by foods stripped of their natural compounds. White bread instead of whole grains, snack bars instead of fresh nuts, oils that have been refined until all that's left is a shadow of what they once were. And in this stripping away, we lose not just flavor and texture, but also these subtle, protective chemicals that were part of the original package. One of the most direct ways to increase plant sterols in your diet is simply to eat more raw, whole plant foods. Almonds, pistachios, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds. These aren't just snacks, they're little cholesterol blockers in disguise. Even vegetables like Brussels sprouts and broccoli have small but meaningful amounts, and when you weave these into your daily meals, not as a sprinkle here or there, but as a consistent presence, you begin to see measurable changes in your cholesterol profile. What's interesting is that the effect of plant sterols is not dramatic like a drug. There's no overnight plunge in your cholesterol numbers. Instead, it's steady, quiet, and cumulative, just like most truly sustainable health habits. And here's where the psychological depth comes in a world where we're trained to crave quick results. There's something deeply grounding about engaging with a process that works in the background, day after day, without fanfare. It's like planting a tree, not for shade today, but for the security and comfort it will provide in the future. We can also think of plant sterols as a lesson in subtle power. They don't overpower cholesterol by force, they outcompete it by design. They win by being present in the right place at the right time. That's a strategy worth applying beyond nutrition. Sometimes in life, the way to protect yourself is not through aggression or avoidance, but by being the stronger, better option in the moment when it counts. There's also a deeper emotional reward to this. When you begin eating with the intention of giving your body plant sterols, you start paying more attention to where your food comes from. You notice the difference between a walnut in its natural shell and a flavored, packaged nut coated with sugar. You start choosing whole grain bread not just for its fiber, but for the sterols locked into the germ and bran. You begin valuing food for its true function, not just its taste or convenience. And that shift from eating for entertainment to eating for empowerment might be one of the most profound transformations you can make for your health. I've seen patients who made this change and felt an entirely new sense of control over their cholesterol, not because they were taking a new supplement or starting a fad diet, but because they were using food in a precise, intentional way. They weren't hoping for better health, they were actively creating it meal by meal. That's the quiet confidence that comes from understanding the why behind what you eat. So the next time you reach for a snack, think of plant sterols as your allies in this invisible battle happening inside your body. Every handful of seeds, every serving of leafy greens, every portion of whole grains is a step toward giving your heart the environment it needs to thrive. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. You just have to start replacing the foods that rob you of these natural protectors with the ones that provide them in abundance. Because the truth is, lowering cholesterol naturally isn't about subtraction. It's about addition. It's about adding in the right foods, in the right amounts, consistently enough to let nature do its quiet, powerful work. Plant sterols are proof that sometimes the most effective solutions are also the most humble. And if you take nothing else from this, remember this: your body is always negotiating between health and harm. Every choice you make tips the balance. With plant sterols on your side, you're not just hoping for a good outcome, you're strategically shaping it. If the story of lowering cholesterol were a book, then omega-3 fatty acids would be the chapter about harmony, the quiet yet powerful force that brings the whole system back into balance. Most people think of cholesterol in black and white terms. LDL is bad, HDL is good, and that's the end of the conversation. But the truth is far more nuanced. Your body isn't trying to eliminate cholesterol entirely. It's trying to manage it, to keep the good and the bad in a ratio that protects your heart, brain, and every cell membrane you own. Omega-3s are the peacemakers in that equation. Here's the fascinating thing: omega-3 fatty acids found in fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as in flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, don't simply lower LDL. They actually work by reducing triglycerides, the fats in your blood that often accompany high LDL levels, while also raising HDL, the cholesterol that helps sweep excess LDL away. It's a dual benefit, lowering what's harmful while increasing what's protective. And they do it not through force, but through modulation, gently shifting the chemistry of your blood toward a healthier state. On a physiological level, omega-3s reduce inflammation in the blood vessel walls. And that's a critical point, because inflammation is what turns cholesterol from a simple passenger in your bloodstream into a dangerous agent of plaque and blockage. Without inflammation, cholesterol tends to float along without sticking to the arterial walls. But add inflammation into the picture, and cholesterol starts to adhere, building layers that narrow and harden the vessels. Omega-3s calm that inflammation, making the environment less sticky and more fluid. It's a bit like oiling the hinges on a door. The motion becomes smoother, quieter, and far less likely to break down. Now, there's a deeper lesson in this. In life, it's rarely enough to simply remove what's bad. You must also create the right conditions for good to flourish. That's what omega-3s teach us. You could lower LDL through drastic measures alone, but if the underlying inflammation and imbalance remain, the problem will resurface. Omega-3s address the environment, not just the numbers on a lab report. They create the conditions where your body's natural healing processes can do their job without interference. And let's be honest, most modern diets are starved of omega-3s. Our ancestors, whether they lived near the sea or inland, assumed diets with a far better balance of omega-3 to omega-6 fats. Today, that ratio is alarmingly skewed in favor of omega-6, thanks to processed foods, seed oils, and grain-fed meats. Omega-6 fats aren't inherently bad, but in excess, And without enough omega-3s to balance them, they contribute to the same inflammation that drives heart disease. Restoring that balance doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as replacing your usual cooking oil with extra virgin olive oil and adding fatty fish to your dinner twice a week. It can mean sprinkling ground flax seeds into your morning yogurt, tossing walnuts into your salad, or blending chia seeds into a smoothie. These are small, deliberate acts that add up, not just nutritionally, but psychologically. Because every time you make a choice in favor of omega-3s, you're not just feeding your body. You're reinforcing the mindset that health is built in moments, not miracles. What I've noticed in my years of practice is that people who embrace omega-3 rich foods often begin to change in other areas too. They start reading labels more closely, questioning the source of their food, and taking an interest in where and how their meals are produced. This awareness creates a ripple effect. You don't just add omega-3s, you start removing sources of hidden omega-6 overload. You begin to see food as a partnership with your health, not a casual transaction. There's also a humility in omega-3s that I find inspiring. They don't work overnight. They don't deliver flashy, instant results. Instead, they reward patience and consistency. They invite you to invest in a future you can't see yet, trusting that the benefits are accumulating beneath the surface. That's a rare lesson in today's instant gratification culture. Sometimes the most transformative changes happen quietly in the background without fanfare. Philosophically, omega-3s remind us that healing is not always about attacking the problem head on. Sometimes it's about creating a calm, supportive environment where the problem no longer has the power to grow. They teach us that balance is as important as action, that gentleness can be just as effective as force, and that prevention is far more powerful than reaction. So when you think about lowering cholesterol naturally, don't just think about what you need to cut out. Think about what you need to bring in, what will restore harmony, soothe inflammation, and create an internal landscape where your arteries can stay clean and open for decades to come. Because at the end of the day, your heart doesn't need a battle plan, it needs a peace treaty. And omega-3s are one of the best diplomats you could have on your side. Start inviting them into your meals consistently and intentionally, and you won't just see the numbers shift, you'll feel the difference in your energy, your clarity, and your sense of control over your health. Your body is always listening to what you feed it. With omega-3s, you're sending a message of balance, calm, and resilience. And if you truly listen back, you'll hear your body say in its own quiet way, thank you.